I think this draft class is better than it was last year. That's what I think. Not with the quarterback, but certain positions. The safety position, the DB position, the defensive line position. I think there's a lot of good defensive backs. So I do think there's a lot of good depth in this year's draft and superstars that could be made. And one of them, I really, really like that a lot of people are moving. This kid is moving up on a lot of people's boards. From Purdue, defensive lineman, George Karlaftis, whatever his name is, Karlaftis. I always mess up his name. But I watched this kid play. I've read a little bit about him. This guy is a pure blood, a guy that could get at the quarterback. He's an edge rusher. You can move him inside. He's strong. He's big. What are your thoughts of this kid coming from Purdue?
It's funny you mentioned Karlaftis as the guy that you like the best because over the summer, I had him as edge one over Kayvon Thibodeaux. I think I think he's going to be really good. Like, I think you didn't see what he was fully capable of at Purdue, even though he was a monster. You just double team. Like, Purdue doesn't have anyone else defensively. You're going to just double team the best kid. Karlaftis came in, 247. I think ESPN recruiting, so 5-star recruit. And, he's from West Lafayette. That's why he went to Purdue. He could have gone to Bama, Georgia, wherever. And, came in, Bruce Feldman's freak list. I think he was 9. He's a freak of nature. Kid is powerful. I think he's perfect for the modern NFL. And, people always look for speed rushers. I think he's got a great mix of power and speed. He wins in a multitude of ways. He's my guy, too. I love him. I think he's worthy of being a top 10 pick. In general, I had mock drafts over the summer where I had him 1 or 2 overall. I think he's a special talent. Hutchinson and Thibodeaux are the big name guys. I wouldn't be shocked if he's better than both of them. I think he's that kind of athlete, that kind of power. Came in as a freshman and was one of the best pass rushers in the country. Sophomore year, because of COVID, injuries played a part. Didn't really do a ton. So I think people forgot about him a little bit. And you turned on that freshman film, was like, I would take this kid in the first round based off of that. So you look at what he did as a junior, games against Notre Dame, he just single-handedly was destroying one of the better offensive lines in college football. He's really talented. I'm glad you like him too because I think he's going to be a top 10 pick.
A lot of people do. And I think the Jets and the Giants will be looking at him as a defensive lineman.
I think both. I think, in terms of what the Jets need, could I, if they're sitting there at 4 or 5, I would be fine with them taking him there. I'm like, he's going to end up as a top 5 player in the class for me, most likely, or 6, one of those. So I think he's perfectly right in there to be a Jet or Giant. I think he's versatile too. Kick inside on pass rush downs, play 3-4. Mm-hmm. Who knows what's going to happen with the Jets and with the Giants in the future in terms of coaching and scheme. Neither has had a ton of success. Jets is early, but the Giants, Judge could be out. There could be a lot of turnover. He's going to bring versatility no matter what you have in place at any point. He's going to be able to fit your defense. So I'm a big fan of Karlaftis.
So from the edge to the interior, one of the modern analytic trends that we've seen is a lot of interior defensive linemen getting drafted earlier because they're more value to the analytic end of a team defense. A lot of top defenses or even teams of defenses that do well in the playoffs have done it from the interior. So in the last couple drafts, we've seen guys go a lot earlier than expected. Guys like Ed Oliver and Christian Wilkins in 2019, Javon Kinlaw 2020, Derek Brown going very early in 2020. And now 2 prospects this year that I've seen a lot is DeMarvin Leal from Texas A&M and then Jordan Davis, what a phenomenal year this year for Georgia, the number 1 defense in the country and historically good. So could you see them going maybe in that top 10, maybe a lot earlier than people are expecting, even though it isn't a top need for a lot of these teams?
With DeMarvin, he's unique in that he doesn't play defensive tackle, but he's going to move there at the next level, 6'4", 290 pounds. I thought this kid was going to be a top 5 pick coming into the season because, as you touched on, people want defensive linemen who can get after the quarterback from the interior. That's what they really need. And he brings that to the table. This year, though, as an edge rusher, he had a down season. He didn't play up to things. Could he be a top 10 pick? Absolutely. He's never played defensive tackle, and this year he didn't hold up against the run as well at defensive end. So I just worry a little bit about that. He's got to put on some weight. Kid's first step is phenomenal. Violent hands. I like him. I'm a fan. Do I think he could go top 10? Absolutely. Jordan Davis, I don't get being in the top 10, top 20. range because I just don't think he brings enough as a pass rusher. If you're a team that, and I heard this a couple days or a couple weeks ago about, a team in the division with Derrick Henry. Could it make sense? Yeah, Jonathan Taylor, where you're going to those are the two guys you're going to have to stop for the foreseeable future. I guess theoretically, Jacksonville and Houston, but I think more early second round, because I think of the best nose tackles, which is basically what he's going to be. And Vita Vea from Tampa Bay comes to mind. And what I saw with him as a prospect and why I loved him coming out is I saw some juice as a pass rusher, which is he's translated that in the NFL. I don't see that with Jordan Davis. I wouldn't take him that high just because, in terms of getting after the pass or being able to play 3 downs. I don't know if he has it. The media loves him. A lot of people in the draft community think that he's worthy of that top 15 selection. I wouldn't want if it's my favorite team or the team I'm running, I wouldn't want to be the one to take him that high or even in the top 20 or first round. Because, it goes back to the argument. Same with the running back. You can have a difference maker at running back like a Najee Harris, but I want other positions. I want tackles. I want guards who are going to be able to block for that running back. I want pass rushers. Jordan's going to be awesome against the run. We're going to talk about him from 10 to 15 years about how good Jordan Davis was and, how he changes the way an offense has to maneuver. But, we saw it against Bama this past week. He did nothing. You took an offense that threw the ball a lot, was going fast paced, was moving, never ran the ball. They said, screw the run. We don't have the running back, and they've got this amazing defensive line. Let's throw it on him. And Jordan Davis did nothing, and he didn't play as much as he should have. So with me, I'm with you on DeMarvin, probably top 20. Not with you on Jordan Davis in the first round.
So you brought up an interesting point that you wouldn't want your favorite team or anything like that. Obviously, the Lions, Texans, Jaguars, they need to hit the next 2-3 drafts correctly before they become any type of contender for anything.
Well, the Jaguars are going to be looking for a new coach at the end of this year.
Oh, right. And Dan Campbell's done a hell of a job. I don't care what his record says. But going into this draft, I see a lot of teams on the cusp of, on the brink of either going back into rebuild mode, but if they draft properly, they don't have to go into rebuild mode. They can just kind of pick up where they are now, hinge playoff team spot. To you, who are the teams that need to nail this draft to be relevant for the next 5-6 years?
I mean, I'll stick with New York with the Giants because I read it doesn't look like they're fully going away from Joe Judge, which, I mean, I would fire him if I was, upper management. Who knows? They may get rid of Gettleman. No matter what, for that franchise, if we're going to just stick with them for a second, you have 2 first-round picks that are going to be top 10. As an organization as a whole, for Giants fans who haven't had a ton of success since Eli and they last won the Super Bowl, they really have to hit on these picks. Because when you're looking at 2 top 10 picks, even if I say the class isn't as great as maybe, in my opinion, as last year, you're still getting 2 blue-chip players in the draft. If you're going after an edge rusher and a cornerback or an edge rusher and another tackle or an interior offensive lineman or receiver, whoever it may be, you have to hit on those picks. I don't think it's going to be quarterback this year. I think the team, if we're going to talk about quarterback specifically, it's New Orleans Saints. They've got an opportunity, in my opinion, to take Kenny Pickett. I think that's a dream match. I think we're going to see a Mac Jones type situation if Kenny Pickett lands in New Orleans. If I'm New Orleans, I'm trading up to secure him. They have an opportunity where they could, the division, once Brady is gone, I don't think the Bucs are going to be that much. But you look at what Sean Payton has been able to do even this year when they had Jameis Winston. It's like, they need a franchise quarterback. Even Breeze at the tail end of his career, they've got a ton of talent. They've got the coaching staff in place. They've got Mickey Loomis, Jeff Ireland. I think they're a phenomenal organization. They need a quarterback now. So I think that if I'm going to look at 2 teams specifically, the Giants just in general, I feel bad for you Giants fans out there. I really do. I want you guys to be – it's good for football when the Giants are good. It's frustrating.
I'm a Jet fan, so I haven't won for 50 years. So
the quarterback position's got to be figured out for the Jets.
The Jets have been hitting on their draft picks.
Yeah,
they have.
I'm not going to sit here and say Joe Douglas. I think he's done a very good job. I think in terms of the Giants, if whoever their new GM is, I think it's important for this organization to hit on these 2 first-round draft picks because we look at Gettleman's track record. Saquon Barkley, I've said this for years. I thought that was like the worst pick in their organization history because I thought they had a chance.
Really? They also drafted Eli Apple. That was pretty sad.
I love you even more. You see, both our guests agree with me in so many different ways. I said that, and I love Saquon. I interviewed Saquon and his father 2 weeks before the draft, and I said if the Giants draft Saquon Barkley, it will set them back another 10 years. Sam Darnold probably wouldn't have been the pick either, but he was a better pick than Saquon Barkley because at least you have your quarterback of the future. I still like Daniel Jones.
Future what?
Jack, not that I agree with the Saquon pick either.
What?
But keep in mind, they also drafted Evan Ingram and Eli Apple.
Nah, here's the thing with Evan Ingram and Eli Apple is like Eli Apple, at least their process was good. They wanted to take Jack Conklin, the Georgia pass rush, Leonard Floyd, I think. I don't know if I remember that correctly. But they wanted to take a pass rusher or an offensive tackle. They just fell in Eli Apple, unfortunately. They selected him there. But when the Giants, not to go on a tangent, when the Giants took Saquon Barkley, I'm not going to knock, Jets took Sam Darnold. He didn't end up becoming good. Unfortunately, sometimes that's what happened. I'm going to knock the process, though, of taking a running back when you had 4 quarterbacks on the board: Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, Josh Rosen, Sam Darnold, who could have been franchise quarterbacks. So, you had Gettleman miss that pick. You talk about taking Andrew Thomas, who I think has come a long way this season, but I think it's hard to argue that Tristan Wirfs, Jedrick Wills, and even Mekhi Becton, even though he's injured, they're probably all going to be better than him, in my opinion. So you had some missed draft picks. I think taking Daniel Jones at 6.
What a mistake.
I thought that was I didn't hate Daniel Jones.
I like Daniel Jones. I do.
He's just not. I don't think his difference making quarterback, and he's kind of put them in this weird spot. So I think whoever their
Josh
new GM
Allen
has to hit on these 2 picks to at least establish a track record. Because if you don't establish that track record, you're going to be gone in 2 years, and it's just turmoil, and it's just nothing's going well for that organization. You got to be able to find that franchise quarterback. If they don't take it this year, if I'm them, I'm taking the 2 best players possible, letting Daniel Jones play this year. He's probably going to have a similar season next year. And then you have CJ Stroud, Bryce Young at the top of next year's draft. Hopefully you can parlay things to get one of them. And now you got some blue chip talent. I love Azeez Ojulari in the second. I think he's really talented. I think Thomas has come along at left tackle. You got some weapons. Kadarius Toney looks like he's going to be a pretty solid player if he can keep his head on straight. So you got some talent there. Their interior offensive line sucks. That's not super hard to fix. I think the defense has some pieces.
They haven't fixed in 6 years.
Players. And, and then afterwards, I think that's when you then address quarterback. But I think 2 teams, Saints, Giants, you have to hit on your draft picks to move in the right direction for the future.